What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Valynt Volumes. I'm your host, Dan, CEO and founder of Valynt Digital. And then I have two people here with me today. On my right, I have...
your co-host, Makayla Mitchell, otherwise known as Mac.
And then on my left, I have...
Jagger, Luce.
Jagger, Luce. Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, man. It's been a while since we've done this. I was talking to Emilio, and I realized it's been 120 days or 4 months. I don't even know why.
How many seconds is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
But anyway, so it's been such a long time since we've been in the studio, but it feels good to be back and just talking about the things that we do here at Valynt, and then just being able to get, on the earlier episode that we shot today, I was so annoyed with customer service that I've had in the retail stores lately. So I got that off of my chest. I feel really great about it.
And we blended that in with how that ties to what we do and the relationships that you're building, but also our clients are building. And as we explored that more, we were starting to realize that it's not that hard. Just treat people like a human, not a transaction.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And then the last episode, we left off with relationship building. Which I feel like you're starting to become an expert in. So I wanted to kind of touch on that. But so just to dive right into it, I'm actually curious myself, in this space of capital raise that we're in now, what kind of organizations are you talking to? Well, no, one, how many people are you talking to on a daily basis right now? And then two, what type of organizations are you coming across for people that are looking to raise capital? If you can kind of share that with everybody that's listening today.
Yeah, definitely. So, the leads that are coming in inbounds that I'm reaching out to, we're averaging probably just under 10 a day.
Yeah.
Right. So, but then that's going to be compounding. So I would say in total, I'm probably talking to anywhere from 10 to 15 to sometimes maybe 20 people a day.
That many?
Yeah.
Still?
And you're having 10 people opt into an ad saying, I'm interested in learning more about Valynt Digital every day, almost.
Right at that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But tell me though, the type of organizations that you're talking to, because I know we don't get to talk every day. And even when we do catch up, it's almost hey, the things that you need are things I need.
Right.
So I'm genuinely curious, Jagger, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Are you talking?
Who are you talking to?
So one of my favorite types of groups to talk to on a daily basis are definitely kind of the broker dealers and the crowdfunding platforms.
Yeah.
Because as we've been focused on for the past kind of few months, if we can develop relationships with those broker dealers and with those crowdfunding platforms, rather than talking to one issuer or one group that's raising capital, you're talking to a broker dealer that's connected to 10, 15, 20, 50 groups that are raising capital.
Right.
And so when we're able to show these brokers that, hey, we're going to be able to very quickly create a two-way street of beneficiality of, hey, we're going to fill up your investment bankers, your brokers' phones with investors requesting to be contacted about the deals you're trying to raise capital for.
Right.
They're like, well, of course, hell yeah, let's dive in, let's dive a little bit deeper, see what this looks like.
Okay, so you're talking to a lot of broker dealer investment firms. Are you talking to one-on-one companies that for example a flying car or something, or somebody that's doing something out of the norm?
The business.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the business itself rather than the organization that's supporting the business.
Yeah. Are there any cool things that you've come across lately that you want to share?
Whether they work
Absolutely.
or not.
I think that some of the groups that are in the carbon credit space are really interesting. So carbon credits, it's basically it's trying them trying to offset the carbon that's being emitted from the company.
Okay,
so if call it your Google, you get a rating on how much basically you're hurting the ozone layer.
Like your footprint?
So your footprint, exactly. You get a numerical rating on that. But what these carbon credits are allowing a company like Google to plant trees in different places around the world to offset that footprint.
Oh.
So basically you plant a tree, in very simple terms, you plant a tree, you get a carbon credit, and that allows you to offset your footprint. Because regulators are charging companies like Google or any other company that has too much of a footprint. Okay. So there's a massive space to be monetized and kind of a lot of growth to come with the carbon credit industry.
So you talk to a company that's doing that or that's focused on that.
Yep.
How are they tied into this carbon credit?
Yeah.
Is it something all businesses apply for? Or is it certain ones that just have a larger carbon?
I'm pretty sure once they reach a certain threshold, then they start getting evaluated by the regulators as to what their footprint is.
Got it.
So if they're over, then they're going to get charged hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So if they're looking for companies that can help them get carbon credits, that's kind of where this company is inserted, is their technology and their ability to make where the trees are planted and making sure they qualify for carbon credits, etc.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the reason I like the front part of what it is that we do, because I'm sure that's just one. I want to hear more.
It's just one.
Yeah. We just talked to so many different type of organizations. Like
it's impressive the ability that you have to switch gears. I mean, all of them want to learn about Valynt Digital, but the way that you're able to actually like make it unique and specific to tailor it to like their specific needs and like how it can like affect their business, because like with this carbon credit, I'm sure that's something that makes the investment more attractive, right?
Yeah,
and
sure.
for like a lot of the oil and gas clients, there's going to be the tax credit towards the tax deductible
tax benefits. Yeah,
towards the end of the year. So being able to tailor like it to each specific one and switch gears from oil and gas to something super techy to something that's the good old boys to you know, someone super like yeah, you know what I mean?
I understand. Yeah, I mean, you're switching conversations every day. So share with us maybe like 2 more types of clients, maybe that's out of the norm or even normal, like
or
that.
maybe just a favorite.
A jet company that we've worked with, and we've been kind of talking to, very interesting. They're
A jet company?
It's not a propeller and it's not a jet engine, but have y'all ever seen the Dyson air fans that don't have any blades?
Yeah, like it's like
Yeah,
you can
it's
put your
like-
hand through it.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically a jet that can take off straight up, go straight up, and then fly using that kind of hydraulic propulsion, I think is the term for it.
Okay.
That was interesting, but I mean
That's just recent you talked to them?
but there's groups across the board
Let's see, I'm
that's
hearing this
kind of
firsthand.
my favorite thing. One of my favorite things day to day is just being able to learn about all of these new up and coming businesses, business models, and industries, to be quite frank. And that's just, there's not very many places that you can talk to your point, Mac, that you can talk to 15 different people in a day, and they're not all from the same industry. They're all from different industries. They all have brilliant ideas.
Right.
And I love it. I love hearing about that all day.
I'm glad that you like it. Is there any other one that comes to mind? So you shared 2, like carbon electric, carbon credit.
Jet propulsion.
Jet propulsion.
What's another one that you like?
Honestly, oil and gas. There's a lot of oil and gas. As if you've got any experience with oil and gas, or listeners, there's a lot of basically wildcatting or discovery projects. Basically, it's a complete hit or miss as to whether you're going to be
Jagger.
accruing oil or not.
He got his oil and gas vest on.
Every time I see one.
Nobody knows wildcatting unless you're in the oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the terminology that's used in that space. So like that's why I said that.
It's definitely interesting, but something that was super interesting as I was coming across it was basically having AI integrated to locating the oil reserves, where the oil actually is. So in order to make projections, you got to be able to intake and interpret a bunch of data. While humans are great at doing that, hate to break it to us humans, that AI and computers do it a lot better and a lot faster. And so basically that's what this oil and gas has in their toolkit to pull from, is an AI platform that allows them to insert all of this data of oil wells that they've drilled before that have been successful, not successful, based on kind of how the land is. And then that allows them to locate and kind of pinpoint where they want to go next. And they have, it's not just based off of complete speculation. It's based off of data. It's based off of statistics. And so whenever they're going to their investors and they're saying, hey, we need XYZ, we need 30 million, we need 40 million to drill this well or these wells, it's not just, hey, we think this is going to be a good basin to go after. It's this is exactly why we know it's going to accrue oil wells.
Makes sense.
Or oil barrels.
Corey, I have a couple follow-up questions.
I was just gonna ask, like, how long do you find you have so much information about these organizations? How much time do you find yourself spending actually maybe on an initial call, or like, how much time to vet them out? You know?
Yeah, it's definitely grown. I can say that.
Okay.
Prior, I would kind of meet them, learn a little bit about them, and then kind of vet them out after. Oftentimes now I do kind of a full kind of vetting process, whatever you want to call it, prior to the
What's
call.
your terminology? I could decipher. Is that the word that you always use?
Decipher? I mean, that makes
Decipher.
sense in this situation.
Y'all are always making fun of words that I use.
No.
All right.
Wait, I totally forgot to tell you this. We were talking to somebody the other day, like through the interview process, and I made a note because they said most definitely in the first 30 seconds. I gave them the rundown of like what to expect, and they're like, yeah, most definitely. And I go, Jagger, most definitely. And I told Dan immediately afterwards.
Never gonna outlive that one. Nope.
But no, so like, not to cut you off, but like you're saying like, and you also know more because you've been doing this over a year now. So like, you probably can decipher based on the initial conversation, like if it's really a good fit or not, right? Just kind of like you already know what you're looking for, don't you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
sure.
if they have the investor relations team, if they have the infrastructure to take on the
You already
leads
know
that
it.
we're going to be bringing to them,
Yeah.
and then they have a value prop or something that they can say, hey, this is what separates us from everybody else in the industry.
Yeah.
Odds are pretty darn high that we're going to be able to service them and accelerate them.
And then out of these three, like on average, like how much are people looking to raise on average? Like maybe let's take the last 30 days of these conversations that you're having. On average, like what is the range? Maybe I should ask it that way.
Yeah.
What's the range of the amount that these organizations are looking to raise?
Yeah. It's a very big range or very big spread day to day. I mean, you've got the guys that are looking for $1 million and $2 million via crowdfunding. And then you've got the big funds that are real estate funds or even oil and gas funds that are 150 million, 250 million that they're trying to bring in.
Got it.
And everything in between. I would say typically kind of what we're looking at is anywhere from the like 25 to 50 million is kind of a sweet spot that a lot of groups I feel like are coming out with raises.
Yeah, that makes sense. And are they mostly, I mean, obviously at that range, it can't be a CF because you can only raise 5 million for a CF. So Reg A, Reg D, like what is it looking like? Or is it split between the two?
I feel like statistically the majority of private placements, being that crowdfunding, Reg A, Reg D, those are kind of all types of private placements, but the majority of them are definitely Reg Ds. Kind of the Reg D, the typical kind of accredited investor approach. Reg A's, a term that's used for the Reg A's is kind of like a mini IPO. So there's a lot of different ways you can structure it that are beneficial to not only the investors, but also the issuing company that's different than how you can structure it with a Reg D.
Right.
But across the board, definitely the most Reg Ds for sure.
Got it. Interesting.
In previous episodes, we've talked about your journey to Valynt, how you got here. What has been your journey with deciding to get a licensing or pursue something that's even more tailored?
By the way, congrats on passing your first exam, which was like
Sunday,
this past Sunday.
right?
Thank you. Yep.
Yay.
This past Sunday. 3 more to go. So we're not done yet, but we're stepping up for sure. One stepping stone at a time, right?
Yeah, for sure.
As far as the involvement there, I really wanted to get educated and learn the space because as y'all we've talked about here today, talking to a lot of different groups, talking to a lot of different kind of founders and guys with these ideas.
Right.
And if I can speak to financial modeling, compliance, regulation, all of that with them, and I have some expertise or some knowledge of the specific industry they're in, then it's going to allow those conversations to flow a lot better. I'm going to have a lot more to offer to these people, which is extremely beneficial. And then ultimately also to grow Valynt, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's inevitable that if you have somebody within the team that has that expertise and is also involved with kind of more like broker dealers and those types of groups, it's going to add validity to us, and it's also going to add to our suite of services and expertise.
For sure.
So,
I agree with that. No, I'm actually glad that you on your own wanted to get this done. I think everything that you just said is very true. It not only does it help you, but it does help Valynt, to grow this thing to where we are. Because, we're growing. You see it. So, it's very evident that, what he's doing now with getting this license is only going to not only benefit us, but I think really just for even the partners that are coming on, it's very beneficial for them to understand that, hey, we have people on our team that not only is licensed, but really cares and understands what their challenges are, and not having to, go to a marketing agency to where they're like, oh yeah, we do marketing. We'll post on your social media. We'll boost some posts.
We understand their business.
Yeah, we just understand what they're really looking to accomplish, and the challenges that they have to navigate through, the SEC filings, the timelines, and we're structured that way on our side to be able to support those type of organizations even more week after week, month after month, to better support these organizations that are looking to raise money. So I think it's a great thing.
And it's something that definitely separates us. I would be interested to see statistically how many marketing agencies have financially licensed individuals. It's probably not very many. Slim to none, I would imagine.
For sure.
Which I think is cool.
Yeah.
It separates us. It's another way that separates us.
We definitely have gotten a lot deeper into this space. I know that in the last the last 12 months, we've gotten so much deeper. I feel like I know a lot more about this industry than I ever have. And that should be, because we're doing research on our own, and we're learning a lot from different clients and the little nuances that come with working with people that are raising capital. So like I've learned a lot the last 12 months. And then with our learning, I know we're making changes internally to better support these organizations. So it's fun. It's interesting.
I mean, I've noticed
sometimes challenging though.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I've noticed though that like as you've challenge yourself to like educate yourself even more, like people, when clients like on board with this, they do look to you because you sound like you know what you're talking about.
I think I do.
And you're offering like strategy though, so I can see that like adopting that language and being able to navigate through different pushbacks that clients are giving you before they've onboarded, and just like knowing the right questions to ask. You can't really be that bullshit like into why it's a no, and you can actually offer strategy like Dan's been able to offer clients. So did you ever have like an aha moment as to I should get my licensing for this, or was it a natural progression?
I think it was kind of natural. It definitely, it's whenever I do things, I like to try and do it kind of 100% rather than what you would call half-assed, right?
I can see that.
And so it was just like, hey, this is a way for me to get educated, for me to dive even deeper into it and to grow our reach. Inevitably, the groups and broker dealers that I'll get involved with and being able to work with them in parallel to what I'm doing here at Valynt inevitably is going to grow our footprint, grow our client base, grow what we're able to bring to other groups, which is exciting. So
I want to ask you this question, man. You know, you talk to a lot of these organizations. What is the maybe the top 3 challenges, you know, that these organizations are facing right now when it comes to raising capital in this environment today? Yeah.
I would say
good question.
That is a good question. That is a good question.
Let's go.
You didn't have that on the script for us, man.
No, we don't have the script.
Whoa. No, I'm just kidding. I would say, are you saying challenges for the issuers themselves?
Yeah, like you know, XYZ companies looking to raise $50 million. Like, you know, why are they hopping on the phone with you? Like, what are the challenges they're looking to get solved? Obviously, raising capital, but are there other things outside of that? But insert that into your response if you don't mind.
I would say definitely the one of the biggest things is if you get in the room with somebody that's working on a product or a service for the past 2 years, 3 years, taking no salary, bootstrapping the whole thing, and they're putting their blood, sweat, and tears into it. Odds are pretty damn high. If you get that person in front of an investor, they're going to be able to close that investor for an investment. Obviously, there's variables that go into it that would make the investor not be able to or wouldn't want to. But the point that I make is that I see across the board is it's not the issue of these companies being able to close investors. The issues these companies are having is being able to get in front of the investors. And obviously, insert Valynt Digital. That's what we do, and that's kind of our value proposition. But it is a legitimate issue. People just don't know how to do it. There's too much on the internet. There's too much happening. They don't know where to dive in. They don't know how to dive in, and they don't know how to execute on it properly. And so whenever they hear what we bring to the table, they're like, this is exactly what I need. Right. And so I would say that would be one main issue that I see across the board. Another issue that I see across the board is groups that are really being turned away from VC firms, venture capital groups. Statistically, funding from VC groups is taking a huge decline and has been taking a huge decline. So then that pushes more groups to do the Reg A's and the Reg D's, which is exciting for us. But one of the biggest challenges with that is being able to find a VC group that is going to fund you, considering the statistic decline in that. And then secondly, something that I've been kind of interested in is an alternative to VC funding. So even if you can find a VC group that is going to dump some cash into your company, typically they're looking to take majority ownership of your company. So if you're able to figure out and come to an issuer and say, hey, I know you're about to go to this VC route, but if we can figure out a structuring for you that's going to allow you to have majority control of your company and get money in the door.
That sounds appealing.
They love to hear that, which is really cool. So I would say that's another challenge I hear from a lot of groups is like, dude, we've talked to 25 VC groups this year, and they all just they can't tell us to get out of the room quick enough, basically. They're kind of cash poor right now based on kind of how the markets are. Another issue that I would another challenge for these issuers is kind of how to file things, honestly. Having a legitimate group to be able to help you file your raise, how to structure your cap table, how many shares to offer to the market, what types of shares, what stipulations you put on the shares. what types of investors you're looking to bring in, LPs, and all of these kind of details and semantics of the raise.
Yeah. Do they ask you these questions? Like, hey, how should I structure it?
Sometimes once we kind of get into a conversation and they kind of learn a little bit more about us and kind of myself, they will start asking that. But I would say typically across the board, what they're looking for is a group that they can come to and say, hey, this is what we want, and we want advice on how to do that. So I would say that's definitely a challenge for groups. They just don't know. They don't know how to navigate it, and it's extremely important to structure your raise in the correct way.
That's a good point, because I personally, I think you guys have been on calls too. I'm not sure if you have been, but like when we get to that point of, me getting on the call with some of these groups and organizations, I've had people ask me the question like, well, how should I structure it? And my response always is like, look, I'm not in this part of it. Like, I have opinions on how it should be structured, but like that's really not like, what we're here to do for them. You know what I mean? So like, how do you navigate that part of it? Because me personally, like when I've had those questions from organizations that's already, signed on with us, I say, look, we'll bring the investors to you, but you got to talk to your, team of advisors or whatever the case may be. But how do you navigate that?
I would say the best way I found to navigate it is, yes, you say, hey, that's not our expertise. We're not licensed to do that, first of all, right now, which is changing, but still, this isn't what we're focused on right now. The best thing, in my opinion, we can do for them is then have somebody in our back pocket or in our contact book to send them to. Yeah. And that kind of ties back to what you were asking to me earlier of like, who are you talking to on a daily basis? A group that is there to file and set up the cap tables and the issuing, the issuance. Those are great groups to develop a relationship with, right? Yeah, they're talking to companies that are raising capital all the time. Yeah. And so now we've got a couple groups that when people are asking those questions, I can say, hey, go here. Go here if you're looking for this type of raise, this type of raise. This group's going to be a little bit cheaper. This one's going to be a little bit more expensive. Different options, and they love it. It adds rapport to who we are and our footprint, going back to that. So I would say, having a referral or reference ready, or referral, is best.
I feel like we're getting into like some great conversations today.
Well, no, for sure. It's really, it's cool to see the growth that you've made. We haven't talked in a minute, so it's really cool to see that. But like, with the licensing that you're pursuing, once it's complete, are you able to then, like, what value does it add to Valynt? Are you able to offer those in a more like formal way, what we just described, or is it simply, just you're able to speak to investors? Like, what does the licensing do for you?
So one of the many things that comes with the particular licensing I'm getting is the ability to actually sell the securities. So yes, to actually sell the deals to the investors. So how we implement that to Valynt is to be determined, right? The specific implementation of that. But I'm getting Series 7, Series 63, and then Series 79. The reason why I explain that is because each series test that you take give you specific abilities and capabilities that are allowed to be done under the regulation of SEC and FINRA. So there are multiple other things that we'll be able to implement. So maybe if we did want to implement something of, hey, let's create an arm of Valynt that does advise people and help them structure their cap tables, help them structure their deals. It turns us into much more of a one-stop shop if we're able to do things like that. So there's specific things that I'm able to do that we can get implemented, obviously, as I get licensed, and how we want to implement them kind of is TBD. But the cool thing about it is once you take that first SIE test, which is the test I took on Sunday, it then basically just opens the realm of, okay, whatever series licensing I want to take, I can take. So if we say, hey, internally at Valynt, we know we want to get this done, and one of my 3 licenses that I'm about to get don't cover that, I just study for it, take it, and then we have that capability to do it, which is really cool. Awesome. So there's many different things. We definitely don't have enough time today to discuss all of the potential opportunities, but it's a great question, and I'm thrilled, genuinely so excited to be able to implement that stuff.
I do like, just a quick thought that just like ran through my mind. The challenge I see, just selfishly talking here, the challenge I see is like sometimes working with some of these organizations, like we don't have control. Like when we generate the leads and they're working with a different IR team, we don't have the control of how the IR team is, handling the leads that we generate, right? Which is a huge challenge, because we know when we work with the right organization and we generate the leads and they have the right IR team, they have the right mindset, they have the right structure, they're using the right technology, the right follow-up process, they raise the capital. But then if some of those things are missing, then contact rate is low, and there's just the capital just doesn't get raised.
Right.
So my initial thought, just here talking out loud, is that we utilize what we know the challenges are, and then we fix those things and bring it in house. Do you see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So like when we generate the leads, we have a team that can actually call and then go through the process that we know works well with how we're structured and how we structure things and create the funnel, and then raise more capital for our clients. That's how I see it working out. It's just on just quick thoughts.
You're
Exactly.
adapting.
You know what I mean? And then you head the shit, like you run it. You know what I mean?
I definitely
Luce's
have the thoughts.
running it.
Excited to see how it gets implemented for sure.
Yeah.
Because that, rather than being a marketing agency that's separated from other marketing agencies, basically what you're explaining is we would be morphing into basically a broker dealer that's separated from other broker dealers in our expertise because of how badass our in-house marketing team is.
Right.
Because all of these broker dealers are looking for badass marketing agencies. They're looking for groups that know how to execute, know the space. And so across the board, there's not another broker dealer or a broker dealer that has an in-house marketing team that competes with our suite of services.
By the
so
way,
if we marry those two things,
by the way, I would create a separate entity. We do have an entity, like a thing that I already bought. Like, I don't know why I already have this, but it's called Valynt Investment Partners.com.
well,
And like, it's like, I think we filed for the LLC like
Yeah.
years ago because we were thinking
While
about
I've been
doing.
here.
Huh?
While I've been here, I think.
Yeah, I think I did that like a while back. Not that we need to use that or
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
right now or that name, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking like it's just a different entity, and obviously your involvement would change on that side of things. You know what I mean? But I think that's a great way to structure it. But we gotta backfill you before you just go to this thing. We gotta figure that out.
I know from experience when I've talked to just like the CEO of a business who's looking to raise capital, they've worked with marketing agencies before, but as you're talking to other broker dealers that have a bunch of different businesses underneath them, have they more often than not worked with other agencies for marketing, or has it just been they've done their traditional
That's a
route
great
of
question.
lists?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does their experience look like with other like digital marketing agencies?
honestly, it's what we've talked about before. To call yourself a digital marketer, you just call yourself a digital marketer. There's no barrier to entry, right?
Yeah.
And so what that in turn creates is a very muddied space, to be quite frank.
Sure.
And so oftentimes broker dealers, singular companies, the issuers themselves, across the board, typically if they've been involved with marketing agencies in the past, it's been a bad experience.
Yeah.
And it's cool to be able to be transparent with them with our process and just show them, hey, I'm not going to just sell you on some BS that these groups tried to sell you on as well. I like to coin it show, don't tell, meaning that I'm here to show you it rather than just tell you it. And so I can show you, hey, proof is in the pudding. This is how we're separated from other groups.
Yeah.
This is how our execution is going to be different. And this is how our results are going to be different.
Yeah.
And so being able to show them that and get them educated on that process is really cool because it's not, I'm not residing on subjective expertise, if that makes sense. So I'm not just saying, hey, just because I'm biased to my agency, I know we're better. It's like, no, this is how we're better. This is how our data is better. This is how immediately produces results that are better, which is cool.
Yeah,
So
that is. I know we gotta like kind of start wrapping up, today's volume here, but I do have a question. What are you excited about towards the end of this year? I mean, whether it's Valynt related or personal related, anything exciting? Completely different. Completely off the top.
I got this. No, I was thinking about the way that we were talking about Q4 with Valynt. We're focused a lot on branding.
Yeah.
And something that we've talked about is whenever you're able to take the name of your business and turn it into a verb, you really have made a brand. So like you Google it, right? Google's just one search engine, but with what I was hearing with you is we're making big leaps in our industry, in our area, and I think people should just be valiant about their marketing, be courageous about their marketing, and step up. And that's what I was really thinking about. How do we turn our brand into that verb that people can use? Be valiant about your marketing, be courageous, step out there, really try something new, and step away from the norm. So that's what I'm excited about. Is really
awesome.
making that stick.
Yeah.
I appreciate sharing that. Yeah, because you're right though. Like we've been in the phase of like information. Like, hey, as our marketing, like we're like, hey, this is what we do. This is why you should work with us, right? So we really don't have a brand just yet, and we're in the process to shift from doing like informational marketing to brand marketing.
Yeah.
But it's always I always think like that typically comes first, like informational stuff, because you don't really have a brand when you initially start. So I think we're in that phase. So that's a great point that you pointed out. And I do have another example, like the Buc-ee's billboards. I was driving back from Austin. like I see other gas stations, right? They're like, hey, we have burgers, we have this, we have that. Gas is cheap. But then with Buc-ee's billboards, because they have a brand, it's like they say some crazy shit.
They really do.
Like I'm talking about like back to back to back to back.
But
you know what I'm talking about? Like,
and here you are talking about it.
Yeah,
it's
that's
working.
what I'm saying, because they have a brand. Yeah. So like the whole point is that they have a brand. That's why they're growing in their industry versus like those other places are probably staying stagnant or getting their market share taken away by companies like Buc-ee.
So
Buc-ee's.
With the last couple minutes we have, what are you guys excited about?
Yeah, what are you excited about?
I like to piggyback off of what Mac was saying, kind of developing that into a verb, being Valynt, right? Developing that brand. I feel like I'm getting onto a lot more calls that are like, oh yeah, I heard about you from XYZ or XYZ company out in New York. And
are
it's
you
just
getting some of those?
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
Nice. Cool.
And so it's like I'm excited to see, kind of wrapping things up here and coming full circle, how our footprint expands. Yeah, we're talking to a lot of big players in the industry, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Anything personal that's exciting or no?
Yep, definitely, most definitely exciting.
Most definitely.
I've got a baby boy coming on the way. Yeah. Baby Enzo is coming.
Enzo.
Due date December 9th, but we're thinking probably last 2 weeks of November.
I'm so happy for you.
Couldn't be more excited.
That's exciting, man.
Give it 4 or 5 years, he'll be up here with us.
Yeah.
I'm like tearing up thinking about it. I'm so excited.
That is exciting.
Couldn't be more excited.
We're happy for you.
All right, boss man.
What am I excited about? I'm excited to see like the whole thing with Valynt for me is that I get to have these conversations. So like that's what I'm like. I truly like. It's exciting for me just to see like even at lunch the other day, I noticed and I said this to Chris, kind of like whispering. I'm like, it's still incredible to see like different people at different parts of their lives. We have new team members that just moved from Puerto Rico 2 months ago. One individual, Bianca, moved here from South Africa like 8-9 days ago. She's part of the team. Everybody on the team is just in different parts of their lives, and it's so incredible to me to be able to see that they're part of this thing called Valynt and that it's supporting them in ways that they need support from this organization.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, like, Valynt's getting support from them, and everybody's just coming together at different ages and different parts of their life. And we're moving this thing in the right direction and helping people build their dreams through what it is that we do by raising the capital that we do. So that's exciting for me.
Got to be courageous.
There you
As
go.
C-Matt would say, putting more into the pot than you're taking out.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
A lot
There
of
you go.
people, a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's exciting for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I appreciate everybody that's part of this team here at Valynt. Appreciate the listeners that is listening to Valynt Volumes, and we'll be back here. On the
Hopefully next
episode.
week.
Yeah. Next
So,
week. Yeah.
Sounds
Appreciate
great.
your time, guys. It's time.
Yeah. Thanks guys.
Yeah, of
Peace.
course.